Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram. We'll chant the Dhyana Shloka of Upadeśa Sāra. Antaryascha bahirvidhutatimiram Jyotirmayam shashvatam Sthanam prapya virajate vinamatam Ajnanamunmulayan Pashyan vishvamapidamullasatiyo Vishvasya pare paraha Tasmai Shri Ramanaya Loka Gurave Shokasya Hantre Namaha. Okay. So this I shared with you on the chat. You can just note it in your book for next time, so you have it and you can chant it with us. We'll chant the first 3 verses. I'll chant, you repeat after me. Karturajñaya prapyate phalam karma kim param karma tajjadam. We'll chant together. Karturajñaya prapyate phalam Karma kim param karma tajjadam. Next verse. Kriti mahodadau patana karanam Kriti mahodadau patana karanam Phalamashashvatam gati nirodhakam. Together. Kriti mahodadau patana karanam phalamashashvatam gati nirodhakam. Next verse. Ishwararpitam nechaya kritam Chitta shodhakam mukti sadhakam. Together. Ishwararpitam nechaya kritam Chitta shodhakam mukti sadhakam. Okay, very good. So last week we reviewed verses 2 and 3, but I'll give a little bit more context and I'll review a little bit so that those who are not here, you can catch up. We are on this beautiful text called Upadeśa Sāra, the essential teaching. And in the first verse, we establish the presence of God, of Bhagavan. We establish that there has to be an Ishwara, a cosmic mind, who is in charge of the results of all actions. Because clearly, we cannot determine the results of our actions. It's not that whatever we do, we get that particular result. There's a cosmic order in place. And the one who's in charge of this cosmic order is called Ishwara. And this Ishwara, sometimes referred to as God, is all-knowing, all-powerful, and the ruler of all. And through Ishwara's Agnya, command, is the results of actions that they are given. the results of actions are given. When we say, will of God, that's what it means. There's a cosmic calculation. Now, understanding this, some people still bury themselves in the field of action. This is verse number 2. Verse number 2 now talks about how we bury ourselves in selfish action. We bury ourselves in selfish action. We become incredibly selfish. And when we act through selfish means, what happens is, kriti maho dadhau, we fall in a huge, vast ocean. Why and how do we fall? When we engage in selfish action, the first thing happens is that we gain so many impurities. So first thing is we gain so many impurities. When we get something that we want, we tend to become proud. Because we feel we're the doer. We feel that I did that, I gained that. Because of this mistaken notion of doership, identifying with the ego, we feel like I did that, I gained that, and it's mine. So we get a sense of pride. We get a sense of ownership. Not only pride, but we get greed also. We feel like, oh, I was able to achieve this much, now I should achieve more and more and more. And that's how people started to conquer and rule lands, because this space was never enough. People were never content with a little bit that they had. They wanted to expand and conquer over others. So this selfishness brings impurity. And when I don't get what I want, because I have such a strong sense of doership, I get so angry. If I don't get it, I get angry. And the greater my desire, the greater the anger. And if somebody else gets what I want, I become jealous. I become really jealous. And the whole entire time, I am in delusion. I am in moha, because I can't think clearly. When we are engaged in selfish action, it just captures our mind. It takes away our time, our attention. It captures our mind. So know that if these 5 gangsters have come, who are the 5 gangsters? Pride, mada, greed, lobha, anger, krodha, jealousy, matsarya, and delusion, moha. If these 5 gangsters have come, what happened? I have engaged in a selfish desire and I am pursuing selfish action. That's why all of this is coming. So selfishness brings impurity. The second thing is selfishness gives more likes and dislikes. It gives rise to more likes and dislikes. Because I do an action, I get the result, the longing for it increases. The result is finite. So the result will come and it will finish at the end. It will finish. It's not like I eat once and I'm full for life. No, I have to keep eating, right? Because that fullness, it doesn't stay. Or I exercise once and I'm healthy for life. I wish. But it's not like that, right? I have to keep exercising. So the results of actions are finite. But the longing continues. The longing continues. I want to do that action again and again and again. The longing continues. So the likes, the dislikes, it just increases. And in that selfish action also, it doesn't bring me anywhere. I am stuck in the cycle of samsara because I'm doing selfish action, I get the result, again I desire, again I get the result, again I desire, I get the result. I'm not going anywhere with this. I'm not progressing spiritually. You know, in the gym, it's like they have that spin cycle. What's happening in that spin cycle or soul cycle? You sit there and the cycle's not moving, but everybody's just burning calories, right? But going nowhere, just burning calories. So this selfish desire is like burning calories but not going anywhere. Not going anywhere. So we get drowned in this maha udadhi, in this ocean, because it gives us impurities, it gives rise to more likes and dislikes, it keeps us on the cycle of birth and death. And when this happens, gati nirodhakam. Gati nirodhakam means it's a barrier to spiritual pursuit. Because when we're angry, can we think about spirituality? No. We just think about the person we're angry about. When we're proud, can we think about spirituality? We think of ourselves. We keep thinking about how great we are. When we are feeling greed, we're just thinking about how much more we can get. And when we feel jealous, we're only thinking about that other person who we're jealous of. We know their whole schedule. We know where they're going to be, what they're going to do, how they're going to speak. We know everything about them. We cannot think about spirituality. So it is gati nirodhaka. It's a barrier to progress. That selfish desire, selfish action, it captures the mind completely. Patana karanam, and I fall. As a spiritual seeker, if I want to be a spiritual seeker, I fall hard. So now what to do? Should I not act? It's not like we can stay without action. If we stay without action, then we will become very unhealthy, unhealthy and lazy. We have to act. But if I act, I get caught up in this cycle. So what is the solution? The solution then presented was Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga. That's verse number 3. And that's exactly where we are. So we have seen how selfish action binds us. Now, selfish action, it binds us, it creates an obstacle, it causes us to fall. Selfless action frees us. So the problem is not actually the action. The problem is in what way do we pursue that action. So in verse number 3, it says, Ishwara arpitam, that action which is dedicated to the Lord, na ichchaya kritam, done without desire, done without attachment, chitta shodhakam, that purifies the mind, and mukti sadhakam, that's an aim, that's a means towards liberation. So in the other one it said, Gati nirodhakam. Gati nirodhakam means the barrier to progress. Here it's saying chitta shodhakam. It purifies the mind. In selfish action it said patana karanam. It's the cause for fall. Cause for falling lower, lower, lower. Here it says mukti sadhakam. It raises us higher. So the opposite of selfish action is selfless action. Now, what is selfless action and what are the two most important components? So, the two most important components are Ishwara arpitam, it has to be dedicated to a higher altar, and na ichchaya kritam, without any insistence for the results. Okay? So, first let us look at dedicated towards a higher altar, this Ishwara arpitam. Now, this selfless action, first of all, doesn't mean that we have to go into community service and do volunteer work. Selfless action is also that, but can also be done in our very own homes. We have seen that, we saw last time the different kinds of karma. I'll just recap. First type of karma is our daily duties, called nitya karma, daily duties, daily duties. Second type is called naimittika karma, occasional duties. So daily duties are nitya karma, like our daily duty is to do our sadhana, our spiritual practice. Our daily duty is to do swadhyaya, is to read our scriptures. Our daily duty is also to take a shower, to eat, to exercise, but most importantly, our daily duty is our spiritual practice. And our daily duty is also to reflect on our scriptures. That's our daily duty. Occasional duty is like if there's a wedding in the family somebody has to go to, or if there's a death somebody has to go to. That occasional duty that comes once in a while, that has to be done. The third type is kamya karma. Kamya karma is not a duty, but it's just some desired actions that we have. The fourth is called nishiddha karma, prohibited actions like stealing, cheating, lying, etc. And the fifth is prayashchit karma. Prayashchita karma means if we do something wrong, we have to atone for it. We can't just let it slide. So when it says dedicating our actions towards the Lord, it means the first two, our daily duties and occasional duties. So even the simple act of cooking can be a dedication to Bhagavan. If we're cooking with so much love that Bhagavan is going to eat this. Have you ever cooked just for yourself and nobody's coming over? Regular plate, microwave, done in 2 minutes. Correct? But when we have guests and we have people we love coming over, the dining table that's never been used, that gets used. The plates and spoons, the really nice ones that are somewhere there stored in the cabinet, they come out, right? And then all of a sudden we're calling our moms for that recipe and we want to make it. Everything just has a new flair when it's dedicated to something higher. If it's just for ourselves, it's just no flair. But when it's for something greater, our best comes out. So even this simple act can be karma yoga. Even the act of cleaning. Have we ever cleaned, if it's just us, our own apartments, nobody's there? In 1 hour we're done. Diwali cleaning, when we have to welcome Devi Lakshmi, we are cleaning every single nook and corner, I hope, of the house, right? We're cleaning every single nook and corner because it's such a festive season. So imagine if every action was done like this, how beautiful would our actions be? And they don't have to be extraordinary, as I said. No, but you don't have to start a non-profit. Karma yoga can be done in our home, in our very own home. So this simple act, just offer to a higher altar. When we're in the workplace, in the career, some people work for their own fame, name. They want to get promoted. They want to get a raise. They want to get more money. Okay, change the attitude. Let's work so that we can make a difference in the world, make a positive difference in the world. Let's work so we can benefit more people's lives. Let's work in a way that people in our team can be enriched. That is karma yoga, and that's a more beautiful way to work, much more fulfilling way to work. That selfish interest can only sustain us for how long? I want to make a lot of money for myself. How long will we be happy with that? I want to get a lot of recognition for myself. I want to get a lot of social networks, have so many connections. How long will that sustain? That's why a lot of them fall sick and depressed, and they hide themselves. Because after you reach that, then what? Patana karanam. If one reaches those heights of fame, of name, and they do not go into selflessness, they fall. It's a fact of life. So that daily duty, whether I'm in my house, whether I'm in my career, even whether I'm raising children, that can also be karma yoga. How so? Where sometimes we just raise a child because we want the child to be like us. This child should be like me. This child should do things how I want the child to do it. That is extremely selfish. But if we raise a child with that intention that may this child be the best person that they can be in the world. May they discover their potential, and may I nurture that, and may they shine through in their own unique way, not in the way that I want them to shine. That also can be karma yoga. There's a beauty in that, and children will also enjoy parents raising them that way. Otherwise, they feel like they always have to please their parents, please their parents, please their parents. Children should feel that I have to please God. Because parents change. Sometimes this pleases the parent, and then sometimes it doesn't please the parent. The kids get so confused. What pleases their parents? They don't know. They become so, they're not sure what happens. So, what kind of actions to dedicate to Bhagavan? Even our daily actions. Even our occasional duties. As I said, occasional duties. We live in societies, we live in families. Certain times death will come, certain time a wedding will come of the close family, that has to be attended to. Also offer that towards Bhagavan. So many people, they are planning weddings. They are planning the wedding, but they're not preparing for marriage. So everything about the wedding they know. All the outfits, all the occasions they have to have, all the food. But did they talk about the vision of marriage? Absolutely not. So it gets lost there. Even a simple act as a wedding, take it as an offering to Bhagavan that I am pursuing this path of marriage so that both of us can walk together towards you. And that's what marriage is for. It's actually to walk towards God. It's not to walk towards each other. It's to lift each other up, to walk towards God. So this way, nitya, naimitika, daily and occasional duties can be offered to Bhagavan. What if I have some desired actions? What if I'm a New Yorker, I want to make a lot of money and I cannot control that desire. I have that desire in me, I can't control it. What if I want to gain a great status in my company? What if I want my company to be number one in their field? Okay, but again, offer that to Bhagavan. Make it so that when we're prospering, when we're rising, it's creating harmony in the whole society with a greater vision, and we are giving back and helping people through it. Not nurturing and boosting our ego, but actually shrinking our ego so that it merges with totality. This is much more fulfilling. This is much more fulfilling. Guaranteed. Those engaged in selfish action will get tired of it. But those engaged in selfless action, you will see something beautiful in the way they do things. It brings a great sense of peace, joy, harmony, fulfillment. In the Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna gives Arjuna so many reasons as to why we should dedicate actions towards a selfless cause. Sometimes people are still not convinced. So Sri Krishna gives so many reasons. This comes in chapter 3, and I'll also give you the reason so that we know. The first reason given in Bhagavad Gita to act selflessly is selfless action purifies the mind. It purifies the mind. So when we went to selfish action, agitates the mind, we have 5 gangsters coming, right? In selfless action, we have 5 heroes coming to support us. So that feeling, those feelings, pride, greed, delusion, jealousy, anger, they all get sublimated to positive feelings. So for example, in selfless action, when we get what we want, instead of being proud, there's a sense of teamwork, because there's an acknowledgement that there's a greater goal and everybody's contributing towards it. It's not just me. It's not just you, but everyone's working towards it. So that pride becomes team spirit. That greed of selfish action becomes generosity. Because in selfless action, it's not for me, it's for everybody. So whatever we get, it's for everyone. There's no hoarding in selfless action. And if we don't get what we want, that anger in selfish action actually becomes determination in selfless action. Because we believe that the goal is so selfless, so great, if we don't get it, try harder, we'll do it, we'll do it. No anger, it's okay. But there's a determination that if we can come together, it will happen. It will happen. And that jealousy that happens in selfish action, in selfless action, that becomes admiration. That people around me are doing so well, and I admire that. And I want to learn from that. Let me learn from that. Let me be inspired from that so I can also grow. Because in jealousy, nobody grows. But in admiration, we grow, we become inspired by that other person, and we also want to learn. And that delusion in selfish action becomes clarity in selfless action, because in selfless action, we are always clear that it's the vision above ourselves. It's not about what we like. It's not about what we don't like. Is this what is required for the vision? If it is what's required for the vision, then we must do it. So there's a reduction of our likes and dislikes, of our individuality. There's a reduction. In selfless action, it's always what is the vision. And our eyes have to be on the vision and not on our individual selves. So that selfless action, it purifies the mind. Now, somebody might say, but I work in corporate America. You don't know what corporate America is like, and this doesn't work in corporate America. Now remember, last week I gave you an example. You have two doctors, right? One who is being a doctor just for money, and one who is being a doctor who actually cares about people, who is healing people, who has a greater vision in life. Outwardly, in the beginning, maybe the one who's in it for money might make more money and might succeed more, appear to. But in the long term, who do you think people will actually visit? The one who's there to heal people, that doctor who's there to heal people, to help people. They'll actually visit him or her, right? And so that doctor who's actually there to heal people, to help people, that doctor will succeed in the long run, isn't it? So although in our careers, short term, it looks like those who are selfish, those who are money-minded, those who are just in it for the numbers, it looks like they will succeed. It looks like, and they may in the beginning. But long term, who will succeed? How long can, you think people are fools? Right? Long term, the one who succeeds will be the one who always thinks of the higher. Because that's who people will go to. That's who people will go to. So, this works, but it requires patience. Even if it appears that it's not going to work in the beginning, it works. So first thing about selflessness is it purifies the mind. Purifies the mind. Second thing, Bhagavan Shri Krishna says that we were all born with the spirit of selflessness. We were born with the spirit of selflessness, therefore we need to be selfless. He explains that for us to come to be, 5 yajnas had to happen. 5 yajnas, 5 offerings. What are these offerings? Offerings from God, offering from our rishis, our parents, our community, and the beings all around us. All these 5 offerings had to come to play just for us to be. What do you mean? Where did we get this whole world, this whole life, this body, this mind, this intellect? That's from Bhagwan, from Ishwara. Very often, you know, when we get a new watch, everyone says, "Oh, I like your watch, such a great watch." But how many people will say, "I like your hand"? Huh? How many times do we admire the one who gave us the hand? They'll say, "Oh, you have such a nice handbag." But how many people will admire the shoulder of which we can hold that handbag? So for us to come into being, God was there. God is there, but God has given us our life, our abilities, our body, our mind, our intellect, our talents. Everything Bhagavan has given us. Our power to think, our power to know, everything Bhagavan has given us for us to come to be. And it's such a miracle the way the baby grows in the belly. Huh? The baby just grows. It grows. And when the baby comes out, the baby's ready to drink milk. Did you make that happen? Anybody make that happen? And at the right time, the baby grows teeth. Who makes all of this happen? This is Bhagavan. Next is our rishis. Our rishis, rishikas, our ancestors. We came into this world through a lot of teaching. Our parents have taught us scriptures, they might have taught us chants, they might have taught us how to pray. Who gave us all of this? It's because our great rishis have preserved this knowledge. That's why we have it today. It's because of their selfless spirit. That's how it was passed down to us. That's how we got it. It's because of the third one, the selflessness of our parents, we are here. Because our parents selflessly raised us. They spent time with us. They taught us how to talk, how to walk, how to eat. They had to put aside their own things to support us. You are all parents, so you know that many times you have to put aside what you need to do to raise the child. So we were born through the selflessness of our parents. We were born through the selflessness of our community. In our culture, the parents don't raise the child, the community raises the child. So it's not just the parents who are taking care, the whole entire community takes care of the child. The friends, the teachers, the doctors, the people on the street, everybody is taking care of the children. Everybody. When people are with children on the subway, people will get up and make the children sit. Right? We're born with selflessness from the community. And we're born with selflessness from the beings all around us. The animals, the plants, constantly selflessly giving fruits, food, everything. The tree, how much selflessness it provides to us, oxygen. So for us to come into being, 5 selfless offerings were made to us by God, by our rishis, by our parents, by our communities, by the beings all around. And then we turn around and say, why should I do things for other people? Does that make sense? Shri Krishna says, no, we were born with this selflessness, so it is our dharma to give back to it. It's our dharma. We also have to do the same thing. And sometimes we think we know better than Bhagavan, but actually we don't. There was a king. One king was in his, this is a true story I'm telling you. One king was there, and he noticed that in his kingdom, what happened was all of the sparrows were eating the grains. You know, they had lots of grains in the kingdom. The sparrows were eating the grains. So he got annoyed and he said, we should not have sparrows here. They're eating so much of our grains. We should have all the sparrows killed. So they went and they started killing all of the sparrows in the kingdom. Killing all of the sparrows. And then they killed all of the sparrows and the king was so happy. What happened when they started growing crops? All their crops started getting destroyed. Why? Because all of the worms, all of the little caterpillars, all of the little pests kept eating and harping on the crops. And what was eating those little worms? The sparrows. So now they didn't have crops because all these little worms were eating up the crops because the sparrows weren't there to eat the worms to protect the crops. So that kingdom actually had a famine. People starved there. Why? Because someone felt that they know better than Bhagavan. Each animal, each bird, each plant is contributing to our welfare whether we know it or not. Like that sparrow. So, second reason, we were born with the spirit of selflessness. Third reason Bhagavan gives is that there's a cosmic chain of how the world evolves. The cosmic chain starts from God, then knowledge, action, selflessness, spirit of yajna. And when selflessness happens, then there's prosperity. There's abundance, there's food. And when there's selflessness, prosperity, abundance, food, then there are beings, there's life. There's life. So the cosmic cycle is God provides knowledge. What kind of knowledge? The knowledge of how to act, action. And what kind of action? Selfless action. When there's selfless action, there is abundance, there's prosperity, there is food, and when there is all of this, then there's beings, there's life. And this is the way the cosmic wheel flows. And if there's any block in the cosmic wheel, then we do not get prosperity, we do not get abundance, no food and no life. So let us say there are some places where people don't act. Not because they physically cannot, but because they just don't want to act. So people who just don't want to act and don't just want to laze around, they're blocking that cosmic cycle from actually coming through. There are people who act but completely selfishly, and what do? They hoard all for themselves. That's why it's not that there's not enough supplies, it's not that there's not enough food in the world, it's not distributed properly. Because there are people hoarding. So in the places that are selfishly hoarding, there's over-prosperity, there's over-consumption, and there's over-sickness. Correct? We'll see this in the word. There's over-prosperity, there's over-consumption, there's over-waste, there's over-sickness, because what do you do with all of that? And then there are places in our world where there's lack of prosperity, lack of abundance, and people are underfed, and therefore lives perish. People die out of hunger and out of thirst. So because some people hoard, some people have less. But if everybody followed this cosmic wheel, which is there in the Bhagavad Gita, by the way, which tells us this is how we're supposed to live, that we're supposed to live in a selfless way, give back so that there's abundance for everybody, so that there's food for everybody and life for everybody. And then the wheel continues. And not one person hoards, but everybody does it. Everybody does it. Everybody does it. So everyone prospers. Now we live in a society where people are allowed to bring to become very, very rich and then give to charity. That's the wrong concept. People should not be allowed to become very, very, very rich in the first place. There should be some kind of method by which everyone can benefit. So, the third reason is we belong to a cosmic chain in society, and we have to give to keep that chain moving. And if we don't feel that we're part of that chain in the world, at least feel that we're part of the chain in this community, right? To keep this community moving, everybody has to give. We cannot just come and take. Sri Krishna in chapter 3, he uses such language that the person who does not give back is a thief. And the person who cooks and eats for themselves, means the person who just hoards for themselves, they are eating papa, they are eating sin. Why? Because people who just hoard for themselves, they live in selfishness. And selfishness, we've seen, it pollutes the mind. So third reason, cosmic chain. What is the fourth reason Bhagavan Krishna gives to be selfless? He says, look, those who have not realized the self yet, the Atman, the true self, then they must live a life of selflessness. When a person realizes the self, in our tradition, when a person gets enlightened being, they are Brahman itself, they are exempt from this cosmic chain. They need not work in society like everybody's working. They need not have a career. They need not do all of that because they have realized the self. But don't think that they're not selfless. Their very life is the epitome of selflessness. It's said that for a Jivan Mukta, for somebody who's realized the self, their words, their vani, their speech is the scripture. Their presence is the presence of God Himself. Their actions are nothing but dharma. And their life is nothing but a blessing. Because even for them, just their very presence, everyone becomes so calm, so quiet, so peaceful, they need not even do anything. So our great enlightened beings, our great saints and sages in our Shastra, yes, they are exempt. They are exempt from this wheel because they have realized the self and their life is one of selflessness. It was said about Anandamyima, a great woman saint, that she had the perfect message to everyone who came to her. But her life in itself was a message to all. So the fourth reason is, if we have not realized the truth, then we must live a life of selflessness, because this prepares us to realize the truth. Selflessness is the stepping stone to realization. Without this, we cannot. Because the realization of truth is seeing that oneness in us and that same oneness in all. I must see the self in me as the self in all. If I can't even share my sandwich, then where am I? So, selflessness prepares us to realize the truth. And we have not realized the truth yet, therefore we must practice it. The fifth reason he gives, he says, yad yad acharati shreshtaha tat tat eva itara janaha, means however we behave, others will also follow. Especially great leaders, they're called Shreshta. In this room, everyone is Shreshta. Why? Because your children are looking to you. They agree with me also. That's what it's saying. whatever we do, people are watching. People are watching. Children are watching. Other people's children are watching. Friends are watching. Relatives are watching. Everybody is watching everybody else. And if they look up to you and me, whatever we do, others will follow. And imagine if we are just living a selfish life, then what will they pick up? If we just think of our own pleasure, what we want, where we want to go, what we like, we don't think of others, what will they pick up? They'll pick up selfishness. But if we start thinking about others, we start thinking about vision, we start serving the community, serving a greater cause, what will they pick up? They will also grow up with this. That's why those parents who are serving the community, who are selfless, their children are also like that. Also like that. But the parents who are very much into themselves, the children are also like that. Huh? And whether we like it or not, whether we know it or not, they're looking at us. They're looking at us. So whatever people do, others will follow. So how many reasons have we seen now? What's the first reason? Why to be selfless? Purity, right? Reason number 1, purity. So instead of 5 gangsters, I have 5 heroes now coming to me. What is reason number 2 to be selfless? We were born with selflessness, right? So many people had sacrificed and become selfless just for us to be born and to raise us. So we were born through selflessness, I should say, and therefore we must be selfless. What's the third reason? We're part of this cosmic chain. We're part of this cosmic chain and we have to keep it going. It's our responsibility. And what is the fourth reason? Whatever we do, the fourth reason is it helps us to attain the truth. Selflessness helps us to attain the truth, right? And the fifth reason is whatever we do, others will also follow. Fifth reason. Shri Krishna gives one more reason. What's that? Shri Krishna says, I have nothing to gain from the world. Only those who have nothing to gain from the world, only those who are, who don't want anything, they're exempt from all duty. So if anybody wants to be exempt from duty, what is the criteria? That I have nothing to gain from the world. When the day I have nothing to gain from the world, you're exempt. You can live how you like. That takes an immense amount of purity. So Shri Krishna says, I have nothing to gain from the world. I have already attained whatever has been attained. But yet, I still do my duty. That's a very beautiful thing. In the Mahabharata, what role did Shri Krishna play? He was a charioteer of Arjuna. So what did he do? He washed the horses. Bhagavan gave bath to the horses, cleaned the chariot for Arjuna. Bhagavan was a driver. Here we have Uber driver, Lyft driver. There we had Shri Krishna, he was a driver. He still engaged in action, in selfless action. Even if he's above and beyond it, he still did it. Why? Because he wanted to demonstrate that even at his level, people are looking at him. People might say, well, what did Shri Krishna do? He didn't do anything. He was just stealing butter. No. He was cleaning the chariot, cleaning the horses, driving the chariot, giving advice to Arjuna. He was negotiating peace treaties so that the war wouldn't happen. He was trying to keep peace with everybody. And he was the one who showed Arjuna how to live and help Dharma rise again. So therefore here, Ishwara Arpita means this. There's just one word. I couldn't take the other word, but this word, Ishwara Arpita. What it means to dedicate our actions to Ishwara, to the higher. This is what it means. It means we don't have to change our job, we don't have to change our career, we can do it at home. And it also means that we should do it because it is our dharma to be selfless and it will benefit us in the long run. So today we will stop with this word. Next time we will go to Netchaya Kritam. We'll do more of that portion. Okay? Next week I will not be here, but you have to be here because you'll get a list of questions on email and WhatsApp. You'll get a list of questions. Preeti, you're here, right? And Brni, you're here, right? So both of you will be in charge. Manjari, are you here? You're here, okay. And Manjari and Devjani, you're here. Next week? Yes, okay. So you'll all be in charge of making sure that we have a nice group discussion. I will send out questions in advance. You must bring your book because I'll ask you to read and discuss, review. And then when I come back, we will continue. This portion is extremely important. If we get this down, then life becomes very easy. But this takes also a lifetime to get down. So but at least the concept, we get it clear, it becomes easy. Okay. Anybody has any questions or any comments? Okay. So I'm guessing everything was clear? Yeah? Okay. Shashi, you have a question?
I do kind of have a question,
Yeah.
but I feel a little embarrassed to ask because I think in a lot of discussions we have kind of been around this kind of concept sometimes. But what does it look like? I'm trying to imagine what doing the job, the corporate job, or doing the home job devoted to Bhagavan looks like in the actual day. Like, when I'm, like clearing the kids' bags and shoes again for the millionth time out in the hallway. How does it look to do that job being devoted, instead of just being devoted to screaming at them again or something? When you're doing something corporate, doctoring, at least even if you're selfish or not, you're still offering help in some way. But like in a corporate world, the main goal is making more money for someone else who already has money, right? So like, how does it look to practice that in these situations?
Very good question. Anyone wants to answer that? Yes?
The way, at least I imagine it in my mind, is if you can find opportunities, you are making money for somebody else, but now you're surrounded by the environment and the facilities to maybe influence some actions for that corporation, and if you could drive some of that to a charitable cause or something that helps a goal a greater goal that you believe in or passionate about, is what I would kind of think you could do, given your place there.
Yeah? Anyone else wants to? Yeah? Well, lots of people want to ask. Yes?
I was going to say that even the everyday things in our life are part of our dharma, and taking care of your children, or working to make money so that you can help them. These are sort of the everyday things in life that are part of dharma, and there's nothing about them that makes you can't reject your dharma just because you sort of turned your mind to a higher cause one day. There's still different people's dharma is different, but if you have children, for instance, you have to make sure that they're well fed and educated and have everything that they need. So that's sort of part of the part of what's hard is that you have to do the everyday things while you're sort of thinking higher thoughts, but you can't really abandon your responsibilities.
Yeah. 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 We'll come there and then there. Devjani.
So I can tell you the cleaning up for the millionth time. I'm still working at it, right? But what has really helped me is that, and my kids have grown a little bit, but with teenagers you have different things, right? But what I'm trying to do is I realize that they are, and having open community, like I'm trying, right? This is what I can do. No, seriously, even cleaning up after a while, right? Like I'll clean up, knowing it's less about them, but more about me kind of trying to be a role model. What has also helped me is it sort of goes to what you were saying, that we are part of a cosmic chain. I reflect on how terrible I was as a child and what my mother and grandmother probably had to go through. So it's kind of like I'd look at it like this is kind of payback that hopefully, it's really hard, but like knowing that I'm doing it more, till after 18 they are gone anyway. So it's just like, this is still hard. Yeah, and then on the work side, I work in corporate America. I think, yes, we are there to make a profit, but the two things which I work hard at is, I manage a big team, and how can I make their life better, and how they're all coming in to do karma yoga to support their families, etc. So really thinking about how can I uplift them and make it easy for them, and then also having a broader perspective on, as an organization, yes, we make money, but how do we also serve our communities, right? Like, I work in a bank, so there are ways we can uplift our end clients, and actively participate in a lot of initiatives for the corporate on that. And at least in my head, that's how I'm trying to work in a for-profit organization, but also uplift and influence the community.
Okay, last Preeti, if you want to, or Rohit.
I was going to say, with respect to parenting and cleaning up, after our kids, I always remind myself they've given me the joy of being a parent. Really, every day I remind myself, had they not been there, I wouldn't be a parent. It's such a joy to be their parents. I'm constantly telling myself, and of course I'm annoyed that I'm cleaning for the 100th time, but just keep telling that story. And like Dave Jani said, after 18 they're going to be gone, so just enjoy the
Right. Okay. Yes, one last?
No, do you mind just before we wrap up repeating the first two of the five? I just want to make sure I have it correctly.
The first two of the five, yes. The first two is one, it purifies, selflessness purifies us. The second one is we were born through selflessness. Hmm? So Shashi, you asked a really, really nice question. A few things to keep in mind from what everybody said. First is we have to accept, because we were also quite terrible. I'm sure all of us were quite terrible with our parents. So we have to accept that this is our karma right now. But you can, when I'm washing dishes, I also think this is like all whatever impurities that are inside, it's also getting scrubbed and rubbed away. So one way of it also is whatever impurities that we are cleaning outside, it is like cleaning our insides. You can also look at it as that. It's me cleansing whatever worry, whatever anxiety, whatever is there, let me clean that out. And see that as a sadhana which cleanses inside, us inside out. And on the second point, if we're making more money for people who already have money, then the karma yoga to practice is what to do with your attitude at work and your money, right? Your intention, your attitude, your effort, your money, what would you do with it? At least that can be in the spirit of karma yoga. Whether the end users, they use their money for karma yoga or not, we won't know. But at least whatever we do, let that be for karma yoga. Okay, we'll stop here. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om